Okay, so welcome everyone. We are here taking step 2 of this journey to the soul. And our topic today is related to the organic order. And I wanted to ask you this. Do you feel it when your house is all in order? Can you feel that? Like, does it feel different when you have it in order than when you have things here or there, papers on the desk, and the plates maybe are not done and things are around everywhere, and then you feel uncomfortable? Somehow that disorder doesn't allow even your mind to flow. And it depends on the mind. There are minds that are okay with that sort of disorder, but certain minds don't. My mind, for example, if something is out of place, it doesn't allow me to flow. But same thing happens in our lives. If we have a tendency, for example, to have a lot of disorder in our house, maybe we also have disorder in our life. And many people, since they were maybe kids, their parents used to tell them, keep your room clean, keep your room in order, put things away. It was this thing that it was a push of keeping your things in order, but maybe these kids cannot keep things in order because it's not the children who are in disorder. What might be in disorder could be the family system. And this kid is only showing something that hasn't been fixed from the past. And this could be a different angle from that picture, because most parents complain about their kids not having things in order. But if your kid is showing this sort of disorder or not being able to put things in order, maybe he or she could be expressing a sort of a memory from the past that is showing something that is in disorder. And I'm gonna talk about the systemic order in a minute, so you can understand what I'm talking about, because you might be like, what is she talking about, right? So Bert Hellinger used to say that when there is order, then love is possible. Because love and order flow together. If there is not order in your life, things that don't flow. They just don't. Love doesn't flow, abundance doesn't flow, even health doesn't flow. Prosperity doesn't flow. And we need to understand that is a disorder that could be related to your family system, that can be connected to the past, to something that hasn't been seen, or to something that is in disorder in the family system. So our outside world, our exterior world, is actually showing something that maybe is in disorder in my family system, and I haven't been able to see that because maybe I didn't know this information, but all of the things that in my family system are not in order are creating disorder in my life. And that's important, very relevant to identify what it is. Otherwise, we keep on working, or we try to be organized, but at a certain point, same thing, same disorder. Like you try to put things in order, but at a certain point, things again are in disorder and you don't get it. And you say, but I try, but I just can't. So that is talking, that is speaking to you.
It's like something bigger than you, no?
It's something that is bigger than us. And we are going to talk about the disorder within the family system. So let's talk about how is that order first, and then I'm going to be talking about the kind of disorders that are in the system. So there is an order, there is a law, it's called the law of hierarchy. And that law of hierarchy has to do with the order. There is an order on the precedence, meaning that grandparents came first, and then parents came after, and then grandkids came right after, right? It's like this flow. I usually compare it to the river that comes from the mountain. It comes from up, it goes down to the ocean. That's the regular flow, right? But if, as I say, what about if a big trunk, a tree, falls on that river and goes across, right? And it blocks that flow, then it can create maybe a float, and it can create a conflict for that zone. Maybe it could be, you know, that it affects the whole ecology system because of that. And same thing happens in our system. When that order is broken, then some of the descendants might be living those sort of conflicts. And we need to identify where they are. So when I'm saying that why it is important, the order of precedence, is because if you are a grandchild and you become maybe bigger than your parents, let's put it this way, this is grandparents, parents, and children. If the children become bigger than the parents, then a conflict is created because there's no more flow. It's like kind of like taking the place, taking the position of the parents, or becoming bigger than the parents. So that is a conflict. And I'm gonna talk in a deeper level about this. So I'm gonna talk about common cases because so you can have an example of what I'm talking about. It is very common that, like this, for example, sometimes there are different siblings. Let's say there are 3 siblings. Let's put just an example like this. There are 3 siblings. And maybe the third one wants to be more recognized, and so wants to be the first one. And so there is a conflict between brothers and sisters, it doesn't matter. They start like creating this conflict because this one wants to take this place. And so that's why they are always kind of fighting. It could be that in the past, some other brothers also had this sort of conflict. And so that is kind of repeated. It's a repetitive pattern. And what happens here is that, and that's actually a case that I'm going to share because in my family, and my third aunt wanted to be the first one always. She was very competitive. And the first one and the third one are always in conflict. They get together and they want to have the reason. I know how to do it, you don't know. There is this fight all the time. And when I understood the systemic, I could understand that the third one wants to be in the first place. Somehow, this third one maybe wants to be more recognized. So she wants to take that place. Mm-hmm. So we did a constellation where we put all sisters in their place, and the relationship between them changed humongous, like big time. I'm amazed. Like when I see them now, the way they flow is completely different because the third one was very conflicting, not only with the first one, but with the second one. Because she thought the second one, because the third kid is usually very, it's all about the reason, needs to understand. And the second one is all like, I need to be loved. And the first one is like, I need to be recognized. So that third one really couldn't understand the other two because maybe it was more successful. Usually the third one has a quality that give this person the possibility to be more successful. But the very first one is the one that opens the path for the other ones. So it is very interesting that how this third person was looking at the other two sisters. And when it was hard for her, actually in the constellation, because she said, it's so hard for me to do it. But then she did it, and it was so powerful. So that is a disorder in the system. The third sister wanted to take the first place. So just see these type of things also outside, not only in the system, because if it wasn't fixed here at home, then it happens again outside. So let's say how this case could happen outside. Let's say that you have a business, and then that you hire different employees for different departments. And maybe you have a department, and then you have two guys who want to maybe be leading that department. And so they will be maybe having this conflict because they both want to have the same first place. See? So how you can fix this, for example, maybe if we consider, because this is what is important even in the family system too, to recognize who came first and to honor that. That's a way of fixing things. You know, I honored you, you came first. Maybe the second one has a different knowledge, but if you give people those places, it will make the difference more than jumping from, trying to get into that position that is not theirs. Or actually, maybe sometimes the boss says, well, I'm gonna just choose this one, but doesn't take into account the other one. So yes, maybe this other one gets the position, but then the one that was left also is gonna be creating a conflict because it wasn't done in a proper way where, everybody was honored. And that is very important. And that happens also in the family system. So
how would you propose to honor the person? I mean, if the boss needs to choose one person, then, how do you honor the other person?
Yeah, it could be by saying just, I know you came before and I honor all the work that you have done for this business. This person maybe is coming with a different knowledge that we need for this department, but we honored you because you were first. And you're keeping your position. This person is not gonna be keeping, maybe is gonna be having a different sort of role or a different sort of, something that the person can feel recognized, seen, okay, and not just jumped over, that's what makes the difference, because it has happened to all of us. I don't know, but it happened to me that sometimes I feel like someone went over me, and you feel like you kind of don't like that. You actually, that can make you mad. It can create anger because
Maya, I feel like this may manifest, for example, in this competitive world, very competitive, not only in the corporate, but of course more even, because everybody is fighting to show up, to shine somehow.
Yeah.
And because we don't have these orders, we don't know, nobody taught us, right? So we try to get beyond the other people, and we sometimes not only we think we know better, but we try to shine better than the others, and somehow we don't respect or honor them in our attitude, right? And this somehow is kind of feed by the system.
Yes, that's a great point.
Family, yeah, and in the family, I feel this may manifest when we feel maybe as younger brothers that we know better than our older brothers. And it's not that we cannot have wisdom or clarity, but somehow we do it in this competitive way also, that is dishonoring or disrespectful. But we don't realize it. We don't even realize we're doing this. right?
And this is actually, thank you, Mar. That's a good point. And we should ask but where that comes from. But if we go back in history, we can see that. We can see, for example, that how the kings had favorite sons or favorite daughters, and how they favor ones over the others, and how the other ones felt bad about it. And there are a lot of like stories like that, even in the Bible. You can see a lot of those stories in the Bible, how one father was favoring this one and not the other one, and that created jealousy, for example. Can we see that it comes from really back in history? We need to understand a root that could be beyond our system. And is that in history, some people who had maybe was the head of something didn't recognize or gave the place to each of these people that was under their command or under their family. And that created things that we are still living, the same type of memories. And that's why it still affects us today. And that's why it still happens in the system, see? So another example could be like this. And this is a little bit more understandable why it happened, but still it needs to it needs to be put in order. Let's put it this way. I don't know if you have or you know a case like this, but I know many. I have people that even in their 40s come and say, I have issues with my older sister or my older brother because they wanted to be my mom or my dad. That's very common. And it happened that maybe the parents didn't take the responsibility of taking care of maybe the younger or the youngest one, but allowed the first one to take that command. And that is a disorder in the system that created conflict. Because then the oldest one becomes the mother of the others or the father of the others. And when they become adults, the brothers and sisters, if this one was the person that was maybe responsible to take care of the house because maybe mom or dad weren't present or they were absent or they died or whatever happened because it was surviving, and then that person maybe took that role, maybe the other brothers and sisters, even though they are adults, they still depending on the oldest one to help them for advice, for money, for whatever, for love, they are looking for that mom and dad in that oldest brother or sister. So that is a disorder in the system. And that is affecting all of the members, as you see. Not only one, but the whole family system is affected by one of these disorders. Also, we can see this, and I shared a video yesterday in Facebook. If you get to see it, just like it's so illustrative of what happens. I'm gonna just say it, give you the idea of what happened in that video because it's so well put and it's amazing. This is a mother that is delivering a baby, and when they are going to cut the cord, she says, no, please don't cut it. So they put the baby here, and then she raises this kid, and she's so afraid because it seems that she's a single mother. So she's so afraid of this kid to fall, because the mother usually is so afraid of their kids for something to happen because they kind of feel responsible for the life of this kid. And so she pulled this kid, she created this cord that never was cut, but it was an energetic cord that was keeping this kid all the time next to mom. So when the child got to be in that age to go to school, she left the kid in school, and this kid couldn't relate to others because this kid didn't have the strength of the father, of course, but also because the mother didn't allow that either. So this kid felt so terrible at school that was crying, and the mother was complaining to the director of the school that it was their fault. So she took this kid home and did homeschooling with him, right? So this kid grew at home, and she used to do sewing and knitting. So you see this son older, knitting, doing the same as mom. And then he used to make clothes and sell, then he was doing the same thing as mom. So eventually, instead of the kid, being attached to that cord, the mother was also attached to this cord, because when she wanted to date someone, this kid don't wanted her to date anyone. So this relationship became so close that they couldn't cut that cord, never could cut that cord. So what happened here was that when he grew older and he wanted to date someone, he couldn't. Mom was first. I had to take care of mom because mom took care of me. And then eventually she became older, and then he became bigger than his mother, and he was the one taking care of her. So the cord couldn't be cut, never, and so she became a child, and he became like older. He became pretty much the parent of the father of his own mother. And first, it was energetically, it was his wife. Mom was energetically his wife, and then when she became so old and couldn't, do more, then he became his father. So they never got to cut the cord. So that is a disorder. See the disorders, it's all conflicts that happen unconsciously. This mother maybe didn't mean for that to happen, but she just didn't know more. And he didn't know more either, because he followed. And that's what happens in life. And we need to identify these roots that are affecting us, because there are many, many little things that happen in our childhood that are affecting us today. So it's very important that we honor those places. And for instance, in this case, if this man would have seen this, could have said, you are the mother and I'm the son. And not your wife, your husband, no, and not your father. I am your son and you are my mother, and I honor you for that. I honor you for the life that was given to me, and I'm ready to move on to the world. Otherwise, people don't come out of the house. And then these disorders, for example, can create that sort of things. Kids that don't procrastinate, they cannot leave home, it's hard for them to make decisions because they are trapped energetically. They haven't been able to cut that cord. So those sort of things happen. Let's talk about another case, just to explain a little bit more. Let's talk about adoptions. When two parents cannot have kids, or for any reason, they decide to adopt a kid. And when they don't honor the biological parents, that creates conflict with this child, because at certain point, even though he's giving everything, maybe that these parents give everything this kid needs, but he feels that he doesn't feel comfortable, he doesn't connect, he cannot connect with these parents. Actually, sometimes they feel guilty that they cannot respond to these parents. But it is because before them were the biological parents. See? And these biological parents weren't honored. So that's what's happening now, that these parents are trying to take this place. And the parents who adopted cannot be the biological parents. So if you honor these parents, and you can, in constellations, we can say, we honored you, you gave us the possibility to become parents, and no matter how the case was, we are taking care of this life for life to continue, but we honor you to be first before us. And that changes the whole scene. It's as simple as that. Constellation, just that these little steps, these little movements, dynamics to put things in order. Okay, let's see another example here. Could be, oh, this is very important. For example, when people has had different relationships, like let's say that I was married before and then I'm married, I have a second marriage. If I am, for example, if I'm the woman of that second marriage, I should honor the first one. Because if I don't honor the first one, then I'm trying to exclude this person from this person who is my partner's system. And that exclusion creates conflict. So I need to honor that first wife, and then I'm the second one. And I can say, and I'm very thankful that the first one came, because if it didn't work out, whatever they learn from it is making me it's making my relationship to be better, for example. Yeah, it's just like, that's very important that I can get to place every person in that system. For example, if they have kids, I honor these children that were from that first relationship. They are part of my system now. Because you are marrying this man has a system, and that people is part of his system. So it's part of my new system as well. So it is very important that we include them and give them that we honor with respect that place. I've heard these cases of, oh, I don't like that first one because of this, I don't like that, or the affairs that had also children out of the marriage. If I don't honor that person, that's going to create something here with my descendants. And my own descendants can be affected by that, and also my own relationships as well, if I want to have a new relationship later on. So all of these little details, if we don't see them with these eyes, conscious eyes, they are creating conflict. And all they need to be is put in place. It's all. It's as simple as that. It doesn't need to, you don't need to talk to them, you don't need to, no, in your heart. You give them that place within your heart. That's all. With sincerity, of course. With sincerity. That's all you have to do. Let's say another case, it could be this one. Look at this one, is very important. If, let's say that a baby wasn't born, right? And that maybe I'm a woman and I had an abortion, let's put it this way. And then maybe I have a new relationship and I get married and I have a new baby, a second baby. But maybe I don't tell my husband about my first non-born baby. So this first non-born baby is part of my system. And if I don't put it there, maybe my second child is going to take that place of the first one. Meaning that this second child might feel like I don't belong to this world. Those are words that they can use. I don't know. I feel like I don't belong here, or I feel like I have not a place in the world, or I feel like, I don't know, I get down and I feel so somehow I'm spaced. So they are identifying with this first non-born baby. And that's why they are having all of these non-understandable feelings, because they go and take medicine for depression, for anxiety, for this, for that. And it's not that, it's that the first non-born baby wasn't recognized, doesn't have that place. So that's as simple as that.
I like your word. I like your word non-born, Maya. In English, unborn.
Oh, non-born. Unborn.
Yeah,
Unborn baby.
unborn. I like non-born though. It's probably okay. It's probably an English word also. I don't know, but
I like
Thank
it.
you.
I like it. Also, it's very common for these babies, for these people that were born after this brother or their sibling that was not born, that they become suicidal. And they don't know why, because they want to follow their sibling. And they
Yes.
have this loyalty, but they don't know why. No?
Yes. Yeah. If you couldn't make it, if you couldn't live, I'm gonna die just like you. So there are many consequences of not having the system in order. And that is why I was just sharing this part of the information. There is more. Every person is just a different case. One, the unborn baby can have different results. Let's put it this way. It's not only one situation, but there are some that are similar. And it depends on the whole family system situation. But pretty much that's what happens. That's what happens when the system is not in order. So we need to be aware, acknowledge that maybe there are people in my system that hasn't been put in place. That's all we need to do, and we can do that. If maybe your parents couldn't do it because they had conflicts with them, they didn't like them, they had this and that, and they couldn't agree, they couldn't get along, whatever, that's okay. As long as you do it, you can change that for you and for your system and for your descendants. So that's what I wanted to share today as part of our topic tonight. And if you have any questions, it's a good time for you to ask before we go to the experience of the constellation. I don't know, Kelsey, Dan, Mar, I don't know if you have any questions.
I have one thought that just occurred to me when I was listening about when we don't honor the ex-partner or partners of our partner, no?
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that it's the same as excluding. If I don't honor, I may say, oh no, I'm just not gonna be friends or whatever I want to say. But in my heart, if I don't really honor them and be grateful because I am with my partner now because they were before, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am excluding them.
Yes.
Actually, even if I don't say anything. And that's very powerful force, no? When we exclude someone in constellations, we actually calling in this energy.
Yes, yes, exactly. That what you just said is very important. I just said it before. If we don't include them and give them that honor, that place within our heart.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we can just say, yeah, she was first and I'm second, but I don't feel it. Mm-hmm. Then it's not happening. There is a humble feeling that of appreciation that can make that really happen. When you really feel it in your heart with gratitude and appreciation, then you really are accepting this position, this I'm the second one. And that doesn't mean that you're the second one because now the priority is going to be, as a wife, is going to be you, or as a husband is going to be you. But the first one was very important. It was there. So that's very important that we keep that. And it's true, it's a power, energetic power, that when we don't accept it that way, it creates a lot of conflict, even in my new relationship with my new partner. And I'm going to be actually attracting somehow the same sort of exclusion, or I'm going to feel excluded because she was first and I'm second, or he's got to go take care of the kids, or the other kids, family kids, or so it's a sort of conflicts that are created because there is no this recognition. Yes.
Yeah, and I realized is a really profound process of the soul, no? At least in my case,
Yes.
at first you can maybe have jealousy, then you don't have, then you have just neutral feelings, then you have nice feelings, then you can have a little appreciation, and it's like a process because we are humans and we have these
Yes. Yes.
feelings, no, with these poison feelings as humans that we start like purifying.
Exactly. That's a good point. It is a process of acceptance.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all at once, but as much as you start recognizing that that is a good point, or that is honoring is important, or putting your system in order is important for it to flow organically, then that's a good step. That's
Yeah.
moving forward. You're doing something for you and for your system. So.
And it starts to come, no, naturally, like the onion that is peeling, and it starts to grow this appreciation, no, because sometimes it cannot happen right away, and it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah, we need to have compassion and with ourselves of things that we are changing, because sometimes we also have a lot of wounds that we need to heal, and we feel abandoned, or we feel betrayed if that's not how I want it to happen, or I feel humiliated, or that's not fair, or why am I feeling that doesn't allow me to do that step. That's another part that we can work, because we're going to talk about this in another of the steps, and those are going to be the wounds of how we feel that doesn't allow us to transcend those memories as well. So that would be, I don't know, I think that's the 4th or 5th step of this journey. We will get there. So, okay. So that's all. I don't know if you have any other questions, so we can move on and go to the constellation. Kelsey, any questions? No? Dan?
No questions. I'm looking forward to seeing it, how it gets implemented in practice.
Yay, so let's get into the constellation. I'm going to start the recording here. I'm going to say bye to everyone who listened to this, because when we go into the constellation, we want to have some privacy. Not everybody wants to share their stories, so, and it's very delicate. We like to manage the soul like with care, care and love. So thank you for watching and listening. I'm going to share this video later for others to maybe see.